One of the things that just blows my mind is that we didn't learn about investing in high school or even college. So how are we supposed to figure that out now that we're out of college? Unless, of course, your family taught you what to do or you have a mentor who's teaching you what to do. But other than that, like, how are we supposed to figure this out, sis? Hey guys, it's Joy, and today I'm just going to be sharing how I'm approaching investing in my 20s. I knew absolutely nothing about investing before maybe like a few years ago, 1 or 2 years ago. I've completely fallen down the rabbit hole and I'm obsessed with learning more, educating myself, and also sharing with you guys what I'm learning along the way. I wanted to say a quick disclaimer that I am not giving financial advice. I'm actually learning as I'm going as well. So I am not your financial advisor. I'm not your accountant. You should reach out to those people when you're making decisions about your finances. So in this video, we're gonna do a little bit of pre-work so you can figure out what your investing style should be and if you're even ready to start investing based on your financial situation. We're also gonna make sure you understand what things you're gonna be buying when you're investing and what types of accounts you should have. Then we're gonna talk about my favorite part, which is just putting your investments on autopilot so you don't have to manually be investing all the time and thinking about it. And lastly, we're going to talk a little bit about what it's like to sell your investments and what it's like to continue keeping yourself educated and the resources that I use to learn everything that I know now. Without further ado, let's talk about this money, this coin, this dinero. Let's get into it. Let me know in the comments below where you first learned about investing, whether it's you've never learned and this is going to be your first time learning about it, or your parents taught you, or you actually learned in school, which I did not. So let me know in the comments and we'll get started. Let's get started with the first part of this video, which I'm calling pre-work, which is basically some questions you can ask yourself to figure out where you should be in your journey, whether you should start investing or whether you still have a few things to get in line to get started with that journey. So the first question is, how much should you invest? Well, I always go back to my favorite budgeting rule, which is the 50-30-20 rule. So in the 50-30-20 rule, you have your monthly income and you split it up in those percentages. So if you budget 50% of your income for needs, that includes your living expenses as well as any food or bills that you have. Then after that, you budget 30% of your income for wants. So that will be things like going out with friends, going shopping, just things that you don't need but you still like to have in your life. That could be a Netflix subscription, anything like that. And then the last 20% is for saving and investing. So this is where you can allocate this portion of money to saving and investing. But hold on, you might not want to put that full 20% towards investing yet if you don't have an emergency account. So emergency account is basically a cash reserve in case any emergencies come up. And emergency accounts are really important for investors, in my opinion, because when you invest your money, you do not want to be taking the money out and putting it back in and taking it out and putting it back in. Investing is not like a savings account in that sense. You could actually be penalized for taking out money in certain investment accounts. So an emergency fund, you want to have anywhere from 3 to 6 months of your monthly expenses saved up. And after what has recently been happening, you might even want to have even more saved up based on how much you feel comfortable having in your savings account. So once you have an emergency fund in place, then you can start looking at that 20% and figuring out where you want to allocate that. One place you also might want to allocate that money before you even start investing is paying off some credit card debt or other debt, but that is completely up to you. And I actually recommend looking for a financial advisor if you have a lot of questions around what should I do first, because a financial advisor will help you do that. The next question that I really asked myself was like, how involved do I want to be, and how do I make sure I'm not making so many mistakes since I am a newbie? So I really decided that I wanted to find ways that I could invest that's pretty hands off and be automated. So I'm going to show you that method later on in the video. So keep watching if you want to be a hands-off investor and you just want your money to get invested for you, basically. So the next question is, what are you buying exactly? Most of the time when we talk about investing, we're talking about buying stocks. So when you're buying a stock, you have a company, let's say Disney, and you can buy individual shares of that company, which makes you a partial owner of that company. There are also other things you can invest in, like bonds, which is basically one of the more conservative things to invest in. You can also invest in more risky or volatile things like cryptocurrency and other new age investments. Okay, now that you know what you're buying, where do you actually buy it? You do not invest in your regular checking or savings account. You actually invest in a brokerage account. So a brokerage account links you, the buyer, with the company, the seller of the stocks, so you can have shares of their company. When I started learning about investing, I basically knew there were a few types of brokerage accounts. One being like traditional, so think of your Charles Schwab, TD Ameritrade, Vanguard. Those are a few companies that are more traditional accounts where you are manually going in and choosing the stocks or the index funds or the ETFs that you want to buy. And then there are actually these things called robo-advisors, and those are companies like Betterment or Wealthfront, where you can actually set goals in the account and they'll invest the money for you into different indexes or ETFs. So I would say if you're trying to decide what to do as a beginner, I would go with one of the robo-advisors, and as you learn more, you can actually switch over to a traditional brokerage based on your goals. I actually have both because I use each for different scenarios. So if you're just getting started and you're like, okay, I have my 20% every month that I'm ready to save or invest, you can just open up an account with a robo-advisor like Betterment, Wealthfront, or even Acorns, and you can set up an automatic transfer every month, so it would invest it for you. Robinhood actually is not a robo-advisor. If you have that app, you still pick and select your individual stocks on Robinhood. So let's talk about the different directions your money can go in, or the different types of accounts your money can go in once you have your brokerage account set up. So within your brokerage account, there are also different types of accounts. One is a 401k. So let's get our adulting hats on. Your 401k is through your employer. If your employer offers a retirement account, great. Sometimes they even offer something called employer match, when they match up to a certain dollar amount of the amount that you invest. So it's basically free money. My employer does match, so I like to contribute as much money as possible to my 401k. Another type of account is a Roth. So Roth is another type of retirement account, and they have many different types of tax advantages. So you can look up Roth accounts if you're interested in learning more about those, but they usually have a contribution and an income limit. But it's like later on when your money has grown, you don't have to pay taxes on it. And every account has different little discrepancies around taxes, so I'm not gonna get into that as much because I am not a CPA. But that is another account you might put your money in once you have your brokerage account. Outside of your retirement accounts, they're actually just like regular taxable accounts where you know, you pay taxes on your money that's growing. You can take it in or out whenever you want. When you have a retirement account, you actually can get penalized for taking your money out. So based on your goals, whether you're saving for retirement or you're saving for something that's more short term, that can help you discern what type of account to put it in. So with all that being said, let's like back up a little bit and kind of recap and see what you're gonna do if you get your paycheck. Okay, you got your paycheck. You put 50% towards needs, 30% towards wants, and now you have 20% to invest. You now have opened up a brokerage account, whether it's with a traditional brokerage like TD Ameritrade, or if it's with a robo-advisor that's completely online like Betterment. Now that you have your account, you actually choose the type of investment account you want to have. But if it's a 401k through your employer, that might even be in a separate brokerage that the employer uses, so you might have a login for them, and that money will get pulled out of your paycheck before you even get paid. So that might be part of your 20%, where before you even get paid, money goes into your 401k and your retirement accounts. And with what you have left, you have the decision to put more money towards retirement in a Roth account, or you can just put it into a regular taxable account and see for any goals you have, like a car, or whether it's just a long-term account, or you can even just let it sit there and it might not have a goal with it, but you're letting that money grow. With all of these accounts, depending on the actual brokerage account you have, you can set up auto investments, so when the money hits your actual checking account from your regular bank, money can be auto transferred to your brokerage account, and there you can invest it, or it can be auto invested into the market. I would say the biggest difference between your traditional brokerage and your robo-advisors is that robo-advisors, they're doing all the investing for you, and it's most likely in these things called index funds, and index funds are basically a fund or group of stocks that track popular indexes like the S&P 500. So the S&P 500 is the top 500 companies in the US. And with index funds, you're basically buying all of those companies at one time versus buying individual stocks. A lot of people approach investing like, oh, I want to invest in Apple, I want to invest in Facebook or Google. But the thing is, sometimes there are schools of thought that believe investing in the actual market outperforms investing in individual stocks. So when you have a robo-advisor, they're doing that for you, and you basically own a little bit of every company in the top 500 companies. So that makes it super easy, and it's a great way to get into investing. And as you learn more and as you find more companies that you care about, you might invest outside of that into those companies or other types of investment like cryptocurrency or currencies or anything like that. The last thing I'm going to talk about is just getting your money out of your account if you want to sell some of your stocks. The main thing you should know is that if your money's in a retirement account, you should definitely talk to a accountant or a financial advisor to learn about what penalties you might have if you take money out of that account. If it's in a taxable brokerage account, you can take money out as you please. At the end of the year, you'll get a tax form and you'll have to pay tax on any of the growth of your money, and that's called capital gains. But once again, I am not an accountant or a financial advisor, so reach out to those people to learn the specifics about your scenario, because like I said, I'm learning along with you guys, so I don't want to steer anyone in the wrong direction when it comes to selling and getting their money. So I wanted to close this video by talking about some of my favorite resources and communities where you can learn about investing, and I'm actually in most of these communities so we can learn together. So the first is actually a community by Black man and a Black woman. They're a duo and they're co-founders of the Wealth Builders community, and it is an awesome community. They actually have an app and they do a whole bunch of Zoom calls, and they have a lot of educational resources on investing, and they do different things like stocks of the week. They teach you about real estate investing. There's a whole bunch of different things that they teach you about, and it's an awesome community because it's ran by Black people, and I love it. I love it. I love to see the Black community coming together to learn and educate each other, so that's definitely one community to consider. The second is a free resource, and it is on Instagram. There are a few accounts that I like to follow. One is Personal Finance Club, and this account basically has a whole bunch of different graphics and scenarios around investing and how anyone could be a millionaire based on even the lowest of salaries or scenarios. So definitely check that account out. It's just great to see on your timeline whether or not you're actively learning in that moment, but to just keep investing in that wealth mindset at the top of your mind, even if you're just scrolling on Instagram. Here on YouTube, there are two accounts that I really like to watch. One is Graham Stephan. If you haven't heard of him, he's basically like the financial dad of YouTube, and he has so many different videos on both his main and vlog channel. And then the second channel that I really like is The Break. The Break is by Patricia Bright, who was a beauty guru, but she also loves talking about finances on her finance channel. She is from the UK, so some of the things you have to make sure you're listening correctly to some of the advice, but a lot of the principles still apply, and I love just learning from another Black woman here on YouTube to learn about finances. So that is everything I know about investing at my young old age of 23. I cannot wait to continue learning more and building my investment accounts and just learning along the way. The biggest thing I've learned that from others is just start now, and then you can tweak your journey along the way, because time is your friend when it comes to investing. The earlier you start, the better chance of compound interest helping your investments grow. And I wore that money green today, so I'm all about that growth of our bank accounts, and we're manifesting that together. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe and check out some of my other videos about adulting and surviving your 20s. That's just what we talk about here on my channel, so I hope you enjoyed. Talk to you guys next time. Bye.